Will do.
Welcome to Weirdo Universe, where your imagination and wonders take flight. Let's get on to the show. Apologize, folks. I'm Ramon. This is AJ. Welcome to another episode of Weirdo Universe.
Hello, apologies. I muted myself because background noises.
So welcome, a late night edition. Sorry for the delay. It's been a long day for me, but here we are. We're back to it for our final day of this week.
I can
Weirdo.
also say that I didn't have long as a day as a Mon, but I'm getting over a cold, so
We're all on the same ship here.
Yep.
So this would be our last time. Hopefully, the last episode for people that watched it later. Hopefully, you got a good idea of just that specific Transformers film. Watch it. That was uploaded last night, 2 nights ago. So that hopefully clarifies. And let's get on to it. So the next one since Transformers is quite a broad. It's a broad subject. You can go for months on this, but for us, we are just trying to split in 3 days, and this will be our final day explaining it. But we'll just try to sum up everything as we can. But if not, it's a broad subject, so this is our final day, hopefully.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna add on to that. Because it's such, in a way, a vast franchise, we're obviously not going to be able to hit every TV show or film exactly in a 3-day stream. So later down the road, we might come back to some things that we didn't get to talk about eventually. However, for us, because we're such Transformers fans, we thought it would be best to kind of start our first week off with the franchise. And I think the upcoming topic that we're going to do with the Netflix Transformers series is hopefully going to be our, in a sense, grand finale of the first week, I believe. I'm going to probably need to rewatch it eventually just to get a refresher on it. So forgive me if my information isn't too up to date or if it's a little vague, but yeah, anyways, we hope you enjoy, and I'll pass it on to Amon.
All right, thank you. So if you that will see this later, but people that watch Transformers 2024, the recent series, and you see how that ended. The reason we're putting the Netflix series because it does transfer quite well into this, and that's what I think was pretty much. I want to say it was called the War of Cybertron. I could be mistaken. I haven't seen it as well for myself, but I do have a good.
I believe it might be called War on Cybertron. I might be a little vague on it, but I know it's on. I know it's on that term, basically.
So
go on.
So you guys know when Optimus was kind of being a patriot and being just to his Megatron, aka his closest friend D16, like a brother. And as that transition happens, we kind of fast forward, and now the Civil War broke out. And as the war went on, a lot of people either felt influenced or more, I will say more influence to Megatron's words and his approach of how he wants to be to be the next one to help change the format of Cybertron. And as that went on, the Autobots, as you kind of see, like the Autobot name was pretty much kind of like the miners in the movie, the small little group that had that want that liked Orion of who he was and how he was kind of being a leader. And as time went on, Lita and Bumblebee they stick with Optimus. That's Orion Pax, while Megatron, aka D16, he kind of had he convinced Starscream to be his second in command by beating him in a fight. If you saw the movie, in like a gladiator sort of way, but he's like his sidekick. But as time went on, more and more just regular Cybertronians will say, or Transformers, which they prefer, they decided with Megatron, and a lot of people did. They liked, I guess, his approach. They were influenced, as I mentioned. The war, the city, the planet is just like chaos. It's coming to a point where they've been fighting so much that their species practically almost going extinct. And not a lot of people go for Optimus, so they became more of the rebels in this case, while Megatron becomes like the Empire. And I feel like going a little Star Wars, just maybe that helps it easier to clarify it. But it becomes Megatron has gained so much power and influence. A lot of people wanted to join his regime at this point. That the on Optimus side, it's getting weaker and weaker. So many of their kind pretty much eradicated, like dying from blaster bolts, falling off buildings. It goes on and on for months, years, millennial. We don't know because we don't know how time works over there, but it pretty much goes on and on and on. So it fast forwards into a time. Like we do get a little glimpse of now Orion growing up. Like now he's like, let's just say he might be in his like late 30s, early 40s, because the battle's been going so long that like they're even like aging through this. And well, there's some points in the movie as it goes where there's moments in time where uh where there has to be a point to try to stop this war or try to save the planet at least. Because as in general, as wars go on, sometimes there's great intelligence within, like something or someone. There's like a piece that could like try to rebuild the city or something. And AJ can continue on this lead off here.
Yeah. Again, don't quote me on anything because my knowledge for these series is definitely a little vague and foggy. So
It's a pretty good
um
series.
it is. I remember when it first came out, I was a little hesitant on it just because it was this new animated like series just starting out. So I was just like, okay, well, I mean, I'm a fan, but it's just like we're getting another animated series. And I don't know. I mean, it was all right. So I gave it a shot, and yeah, as I'm on basically described, it does kind of go through the sections of battle scars in a sense. I mean, you can see how the war is affecting both sides. You could see basically who's winning in a sense, who's losing, and eventually, if I'm not mistaken, it revolves around the Autobots deciding to, in a sense, abandon their planet, and some of them are not all on board with that plan, and some of them do want to decide and stay. So
And
it's go on.
and one of those characters was pretty
Oh
much Optimus's
yeah,
wife. We could just say girlfriend, but we know.
I will say this: I am curious exactly how relationships go as far as Cybertronians or Transformers.
But
Again,
Alita,
like how Alon said, whichever you prefer. Because I mean, they're not humans, so it's interesting to kind of imagine how that process works.
but so as AJ mentioned, like it's coming to a point where Optus makes a decision where it's just like we have to just ban this planet. And one of them that disagreed was Alita One. And she just felt not like neglect, but she just when she saw Optimus make a decision, because Optimus at this point, he's not like he's shaken, but he feels like all this death, and we're pretty much eliminating our own kind over just because one person, me as himself, but like him and his one's brother D16, now Megatron, like it just came to a point where it's just like we just gotta go. But then if Alita felt like, wait, so if you leave, then like Megatron pretty much wins it, as since you are deciding to abandon the one our home.
I will. Can I add on to that? Actually,
Yeah,
I just thought of
that's
something
my like
kind of
summing
interesting.
up of that scene. Like,
What I love about the scene is, at least from what I remember, it felt like, in a sense, Alita believed that Optimus basically, in a sense, gave up. He gave up the fight. But I think it's deeper than that. I believe that, like, Optimus himself, like you mentioned, I mean, with all this death, just the loss, and it wasn't really about being shaken, but more just like, what's the point of the fight anymore if all it's going to do is just basically put our kind into a sense of extinction? And I think Optimus, in a sense, believing that maybe leaving the planet was a better idea because it doesn't necessarily mean that Megatron necessarily wins, but maybe in Optimus's point of view, it was more on the side of, this is how we create peace, is that we leave the planet and the Decepticons can basically just keep it.
yeah,
And granted, Alita, again, like Amon said, had, like, she was one of the Autobots that didn't agree with that.
but there was like other options that he did. He tried the reason approach, telling his great friend D16 Megatron to be like, we need like kind of like we just need to stop. Like there was a little fight scene. Megatron got kind of like fell and got like stabbed in the chest, but he's not like bleeding out like crazy. And he comes to a point where it's like, we're done. Like, let's stop. And at this point, so for Megatron, since D16 was considered like the older brother, this dude we could say maybe I want to say 50, but that might be a little too far. But he's pretty much like he's pretty much around that age, we'll say. But since if you guys saw the 2024 series and how it ended when they first fought, you can see D16's rage is completely like engulfed. Like it's just he's so to a point where he's like I can't want to say a glutton in a way, but it's like he's wants so much power, or just using annihilation as a key, as a way of just destroying everything as it was, and then rebuild it as a new. He's like it's to that point where it's kind of like you try to reason with him, but he's just so enraged of just primes and everything. So they try to reason. Like Megatron, like sort of understood, but he's just who the character is now, and who he was. He just he's too enraged, pretty much, and so they had I don't know if they had a dispute, but the reason approach pretty much didn't work. And I think if I can recall, Megatron was kind of like the same as Alita acted, like pretty much calling him a coward in a way. Like I think I'm not entirely sure, but like the reason approach just never worked out, and so, to a point where now he goes for a deal. So as you know, in the 2024 series, as Orion sneaking through unrestricted access, and he remember if you've seen the movie where he sees the key and you see the matrix of leadership. So that was still around, like pretty much the Civil War was to like almost like Megatron's like searching for something. Since he lost the right, he didn't earn the right to become a prime. We have a theory on that, but that'll be for another time. That might be for another time, maybe. Maybe we'll get it out today. But he pretty much, since he's not a prime, he's pretty much trying to find something else that can like at least feel like a prime, I guess, in a way. Like all these ancient artifacts from all the other primes that died during the franchise, pretty much. And yeah, AJ, you can continue on.
Going back to the idea in the statement you mentioned about how Megatron basically believed that, well, Megatron and Alita both believe Optimus was, in a sense, a coward. I have to, in a way,
I don't know if that's the exact words, but I think the way he responded,
I think it's definitely like the reaction
like you're
to
soft now.
Yeah. I will say that growing up and kind of looking back all the stuff, all the Transformer stuff that I've watched personally, with some of the theories that we came up with, I can kind of see it in a way. And I do feel like sometimes Optimus tries to pull the easier card than taking the hard way through it. And I do believe in some of those moments, this being one of them, with him deciding that it would be best to drop the fight and leave the planet. I think that was definitely a moment of cowardice for Optimus. And I think it was partially because of the loss that came along with it. But I think, in a sense, for a good leader, I will say that it's not always easy to make the hardest choices.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, if there is maybe what seems like an easier route, you do have an option to decide whether or not you want to take it or not. But in some cases, I do feel like maybe Optimus has taken a shorter stick than he attended or meant to. And I think that really affected his relationship with both D16 and Alita.
Yeah,
And I'd say even maybe Bumblebee, but I mean, from all the stuff he's been in, he's been pretty loyal to Optimus. So I think it might be a little hard for Bumblebee to really see anything like that in Optimus.
Yeah, so now Prime, AJ broke that down beautifully.
Thank
As
you.
as you then as the series goes on, it's like I think it's not a movie. It's like a 4 to 6 episodes, very short, but it's a good long while just to kind of give you the feel of what the war was like. So Optimus then comes to a point where people might say it's like the bad guy type move. So so the Matrix of Leadership. I know in trans. Well, AJ can maybe help me out here, but
Which part?
I the, about I remember the movie that was like the Matrix or the Cube. I don't remember.
I know 07 was the Cube, and the Revenge of the Fallen was for the Matrix.
Yeah, but so there's this. So I just made a decision. There's a certain artifact that they threw in there. I don't know if it was the Cube or the Matrix of Leadership, but it was a special Cybertronian piece, like the ancients. And since since no one wants to leave, he always finds a way to force everyone to go. He grabs the one thing that pretty much is like the heart of Cybertron, pretty much. Like it's such a valuable item that even Megatron himself wants. And he tosses this thing called Space Bridge. And in case you don't know what a Space Bridge is,
Oh yeah, I think I remember. I think I know what you're talking about.
you could say the Space Bridge is. You could say it's like a teleporter.
Yeah,
To sum it up, it's pretty much like a teleporter. I mean, if you watch,
it's basically like a
if you watch
intergalactic teleporter in a sense.
if you watch Marvel with Thor, you kind of get a little feel.
Yeah, it's basically like the Bifrost in Marvel.
But so he makes a decision. He makes a decision and he throws it. He didn't. It was a decision that was forced upon him, since no one wants to listen, so he has to use action. And he did the one thing that people be like mad at him for a while, which to force everyone off the planet is to throw this specific item into the space bridge and goes to who knows where, which is, well, as if you see the films, you know where it goes. But in those times though, for Alita, she does so. Optimus, Cybertron, we're kind of piece to piece because it's been a while with this series since I last saw it, so I'm just kind of spitballing, just throwing little puzzle pieces. But you guys should watch it; it's available on Netflix.
Thank God I'm not the only one who has a vague memory of it.
Yeah, that's been a while. It's been a little too long. Alita makes a sacrifice decision since she wasn't convinced and she, in a way, did not want to go. She tells Optimus that I'm staying. And for Optimus, and as you know from the 2024 film, and for people that watch it and know, that's a deep part of this film, of this series, where she makes that decision. And for him, he was kind of a bit of a loss of words, but he respected it.
Can I actually add on to that a little bit? I do want to say that I do find that scene such a momentous one because of the fact that she's not going up on the elevator shaft or whatever it was that she was on. She's literally descending, which I think in a sense also foreshadows a lot of her story in most of the lore. And I think that is such a momentous moment because she may feel like the person that she met all those years ago in basically in a sense Transformers 1, that he's finally given up the fight. And I say this because we don't necessarily know how long into the future exactly the series takes place in entirely, at least not to my knowledge, if we were to say that it was connected to the movie.
Are you talking about the Bayverse
But
film?
no, the Transformers One film.
I like, as I did say in the intro, not the intro, but it's the way I was starting up. I just want to say it's probably been like years now. Like the war broke
Yeah,
out, and it's like
but I mean in more like we don't know the exact number of how long the war has been going on for the series between the end of Transformers One into this. So um and I mean as a soldier, I feel like if you ever have somebody that you know that finally just feels in a sense tired of fighting, you as a person or at least as a soldier, you would feel kind of maybe betrayed a little bit. I mean, you guys have been fighting for this long so far, and it just suddenly now one of them kind of what feels like to you gives up. So, what I find so momentous about Alita's um, decision in this moment is the fact that she doesn't just basically tell
wait, sorry,
Optimus.
wait, can hold your talk. Sorry, folks. I just remember a scene that's actually really important before that. Alita herself purposely gets captured and actually tries to reason with Megatron. And I feel like that scene, they even talked about like if it was Transformers 1, like they talk as if they knew each other way before all this occurred. And she tried to like really reason. But for Megatron, he's at a breaking point where he himself felt lost. Like, kind of like, I'm just using Star Wars because I feel like it kind of works in a way. It's
A
like
little bit, yeah, in some ways.
Anakin being Darth Vader. Like he was, well, of course, but that's totally different. But he's lost. So like for D16, he's it's like that the person you think I am is no more. Pretty much, it's like
Yeah.
those times are done, and I think he
Um.
escaped. But yeah, continue on with.
um. But yeah, no, going back to like the moment where Alita basically makes the decision and wants to stay on Cybertron, I think is so important to her character because it shows that she wants to still save it. And not only just the planet, but also their species. Because in a sense, with the war that's been going on, it in that time frame, I can't imagine how many people they have lost and how many like friends they could have lost. So going into the thought of what you mentioned, Amon, was her purposely getting herself captured to talk to Megatron, I think is such a heroic thing. Because not only again does her decision to Optimus in a sense foreshadow her own future and in a sense her fate, but it shows that she has she was kind of the balance for Optimus for when he had wanted to take the shorter stick and take the easier way out. She was there just like, no, we need to take the hard route. We have to. Because otherwise what does it mean? And I think for Alita as a character herself, I think this is really important to her story because she she has always had this like leadership role, and Amon could back me up on this with her behavior in Transformers One. Like she has definitely had always a leadership type behavior, and whenever she took charge, she made sure that everybody to her best of ability came back in one piece. And I think her being, in a sense, the contrast of both Megatron and Optimus in a sense of, I guess, a voice of reason is what makes her character fate so much more heart shattering because if you do know her fate, um I don't know if it happens in the series. I
It
could be wrong. I think it might.
does. But actually,
Um,
that actually kind of gave me a mystery of what happened to her. So see, as Optimus, he takes her word, he escapes, and then there's this. I don't know how, but he actually comes back to Cybertron. I don't know if it was a time gap or something. So he comes back to Cybertron, and now Cybertron, since time itself, we don't know what it is, how how to tell it. It comes to a point where the planet itself is like a frozen, I won't say ice cube, but it's literally like if you think of the planets here on Earth, like the Arctic, or something. Like it comes to a
yeah,
point,
it basically becomes, in a sense, like a wasteland.
a wasteland, and well, this is where it gets quite emotional. So Optimus looks to find Alita, and he finds her. We don't know what happened to her. You can, if you when you see the scene, you can think it might be the cold, but he finds her and she died. Could be from the frigid cold, or did Megatron kill her? We don't know really. That's a bit of a mystery. But what about that scene though? Optimus, picks her up her body, and in like a fairy tale way, her soul ascends. But the probably the best, saddest love quote is she doesn't tell her by the name he has earned. She tells her by her real name, Orion Pax. And that scene there, when Alita ascended, she tells I forgot what the words, but she ended off saying Orion Pax. She didn't go by
I have to rewatch it for
yeah,
sure.
after watching. But I
I
saw
will get into a little bit about that actually after you're done. Because I did come up with a thought. So continue.
well, I haven't really not much to continue, so go for it.
Oh, well, I was gonna say that's what I actually just kind of recalled and was a little ironic and kind of funny, was that if I'm not mistaken, when she tells Optimus her decision to stay,
Mm-hmm.
she calls him by his new name, Optimus. She
Yeah.
calls him basically Optimus Prime. So what makes it so heartwarming and whatnot for her death, in a sense, and just kind of her ascension, is that she goes back to using his true name, his, in a sense, you could say his real name. And I think after that moment, I think that's when Optimus realized that there are no shortcuts. Because, I mean, in most of the films and whatnot, in most of the shows, you do see Optimus taking the hardest choices possible and goes through with those choices. He doesn't ever really take any shortcuts anymore. And I think the reason because of that is because he knew Alita was the one between the both of them who took the hardest routes. And to honor her sacrifice, in a sense, he wanted to do the same. So I think um
Actually,
I do believe her character as a whole is so important.
so that's our summing of just at least the big parts of the film. But now I feel like right now I feel like I want to theorize a little bit. I think we might have a connection here. I think I know why.
Yeah.
I think I know why Optimus has such a growth in Soundwave. Why he killed either one. Because if we don't know the time gap, and actually we could connect it to Transformers Prime in a way, since Soundwave's on Cybertron for who knows how many years. Could it be possible that Soundwave actually killed Alita 1 in Cybertron? If we think at the time gap of, let's just say, if he when Optimus left and he comes back, I know in that scene it was more like she froze to death. We don't know if she got shot. We never know. We don't know the complete story. But if we try to connect this to Avers,
I have a potential theory for that.
could
Maybe.
because when you watch in the Bayverse, you got the regular one, Revenge of the Fallen. There's one called Dark of the Moon, which when Soundwave make, I mean, Yes. Soundwave. No, Shockwave. Sorry.
Shockwave.
I was thinking
Their names always get confusing for a lot of people, so it's fine.
Shockwave.
I've had myself times where
Yeah.
I've said the opposite name.
But Shockwave, in throughout just Transformers, he's a scientist. He's a mad
A
scientist.
mad scientist, if you
Very
will.
smart, but
Yeah.
just mad experiments, really. But
Yeah, he does some
Dark of the Moon,
crazy
when
experiments.
Optimus when he made his first appearance, Optimus first time seeing him, it goes to a point where he's just like hatred. And yes, we don't know if we did a research of our own to realize that he actually killed. Yeah, probably.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I highly agree with you, Jack. He is definitely the most messed up Transformer that we know of. And yet, for some weird reason, we all love him for it, just because.
We're going back to maybe a possible connection. Could actually that Transformer series in a way does connect to the Bayverse in that sense? Because let's just say if Optimus found out that Mayalita one was not died from the frigid cold, but actually did get shot and found out it was Shockwave, but he didn't know that until further on. That may be why he has such a. That's why the grudge he had. I mean,
I had a thought.
For stories. What the reason?
I had a thought that maybe Shockwave could have potentially even tried experimenting on Alita, and she could have finally had a chance to escape. But because it was so cold on the planet's surface and she was already so wounded, I think she probably could have died through the wounds and followed up by basically hypothermia in a sense. I don't know exactly if that works technically for them. So I think it kind of does, but I'm not sure. But I do think that would be a really interesting way to kind of connect that in a sense.
That might be the connection because honestly, in that series, they purposely go really vague. But all we know is when Optimus came back and got to Alita's body, she's dead. Was it the cold or was it something else? We don't know. And maybe, as for the Bayverse tells it, when you search it, Shockwave killed or at least tortured Alita 1 and like another member of an Autobot, but Alita 1 specifically. So I wonder, when we heard that news, we were like, when we got that info, we're like, wait a minute. That's how they did. Like we were in the Bayverse, they never showed Alita 1. But when Shockwave came to the films and how Optimus reacted, there was some connection. And now I'm thinking there's now talking about the Netflix series and how Alita mysteriously dies. That could be a possible, maybe the answer. But AJ, got any other theories in mind you thought of?
I think I might.
Any connections?
So there is a scene in Dark.
Apologize, folks. Sorry for that. That was so yeah, we have lost connection to AJ. But no, we're good.
I think so. I hope so.
All right, folks.
Okay. Where was I? Right. There was a scene in Transformers: Dark of the Moon. Later on in the film, around about the time in the final, the fifth act, I guess in some way that people would call it. This was also a really like heavy. It brought a lot of speculation to this because nobody could understand Shockwave And I wonder if in one of these scenes in the movie is that Shockwave actually teases Optimus about how he killed Alita. Because we know that in a sense that he does technically speak in their language, which is Cybertronian. So my thought is that maybe he teases him, and it's just like, oh, well, I'm gonna kill you the way that I did your girlfriend or something, and that just pretty much sets Optimus off in such a rage that we're not used to seeing him in, and he just goes off. So I wonder if that may be the reason why Optimus was in such a darker side of his mind, and I wonder if it was because Shockwave had actually mentioned Alita in some form.
All right, so we're gonna continue on real quick now. Something came up. What if Dark of the Moon was literally mean? Yes, in the scene we get Dark Side of the Moon, but what if it actually meant a different? What if it was a different meaning to that? Like, I don't know, it's like a metaphor or something, but think of it. That's the first time Optimus really gets pissed off. Like
That
yeah,
was really, I think, outside of like Age of Extinction, and I guess you could kind of say The Last Night. Dark of the Moon was definitely the movie where Optimus was not he was not holding his punches back at all. So I mean, I know obviously like most of the stories does take place on the dark side of the moon, but I think like Amon has said, I do believe that it might have a deeper meaning, and it might be because of the fact that the reason behind Optimus Prime's rage in the film. So I have to kind of agree with that.
Yeah, but I don't know. Like I have this thought, but I'm not sure I got all the pieces. But like, what if Dark of the Moon actually meant something else? Like, yes, in the movie, if you've seen it, you know they talk about Dark Side of the Moon, you know,
Yeah,
and all that. But then I just felt like if we could think of it in another way, what if it was a different meaning? Because Optimus is on the poster with the blade and everything, you know. Like the
yeah.
poster.
That's what was surprising about the poster was that it was mostly Optimus himself being a part of the promotion stuff.
So
And I mean, it mainly focused around him.
we might have to do a little more research, but I feel like maybe the Dark of the Moon was actually meant for, it's like yes, as we keep saying the Dark Side of the Moon, but what if it actually means something about Optimus? Because what's next? Age of Extinction. He gets in a grudge with probably one of the
Humans.
best with the humans
and Lockdown.
and then
Lockdown.
and probably the most well written character in this verse, Lockdown.
Oh, I gotta say, out of all the versions of Lockdown, I do love the way that they brought him in Age of Extinction. I mean, that was such a good portrayal, such good writing for the character, and the design itself was phenomenal. I mean, jeez. I don't think you could get any better with the villain in the franchise, to be honest.
Yeah, but anyway, we might have to do some research. Maybe we might add a little onto the next week episode, which we'll talk about other movies and series to share, and we'll eventually get into DC and Marvel and all that. And we'll start.
Yeah, I think we'll slowly wrap our way into some of the other bigger franchises a little bit and kind of work our way around it through different streams. So I do believe that that would be kind of the go-to.
Next week on Monday, just to get you guys for people who are watching and later on, we're going to try to get into K-pop Demon Hunters. And in case you don't know what the heck that is, glad you joined us. We'll help you break it down.
See, I'm gonna personally love this, and not just because I've been addicted to the music and the story and the movie, but just because I would love to kind of get into the little details that they brought in with the cultural references. I mean, that would be such a nice breakdown I believe, and I think just talking about the culture a bit of the film would be such a good way to kind of honor the way that they made it in a way. I do feel like that would be a good way to kind of start it off with.
But yeah, just the people watching later on, that's what we'll be talking about. And for people that you not even heard of it, glad you're joining. Glad you'll join that one. We'll definitely help you break that.
Also, this is not a promotion statement, but please go watch the movie. Go watch K-pop Demon Hunters.
Watch it, react to it, let us know, but we'll help you break it down if you weren't unsure what you just saw.
Yeah, and when we get to talk about it, we would love to also see what like you guys have to say about it, and what you guys to come up with your own theories, or if we have some similar ones that we've come up with as well. Um, yeah, can't wait.
Without further ado, thanks for watching, tuning in on a late night edition of Weirdo Universe. Hope you like the stream, and make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much. Have a good